Procrastination kills more dreams and businesses than anything else. Okay, I just made up that claim, but I'm pretty confident it's true. And if you want to get more done in a day than most do in an entire month, then learning how to maximize your time and energy is the most critical skill you can build as an entrepreneur. And all successful entrepreneurs I know place a premium on their time. They are absolutely ruthless with how they spend it and where they put their attention. There's always room to audit your time and find ways to use it more efficiently. So hopefully you're not watching this video procrastinating on something you need to be doing right now, but I'm going to show you the exact step-by-step hack I found that eliminates procrastination and helps me maximize my time so that I can use it effectively on the things that matter the most, the things that are actually going to grow my business. So even if you still have your 9 to 5 while trying to build your business, you have the same amount of time as anyone else. And if you know how to leverage it in the right way, the results will speak for themselves. The first step in eliminating procrastination is to understand why you're doing it in the first place. And if you're anything like me and most entrepreneurs, it stems from perfectionism. This is because as we build out our vision, we're emotionally attached to it. And so we have very high standards for how something should be done. This ultimately prevents us from taking any action because we instead spend so much time trying to learn everything, trying to figure out the best way to do it, asking everyone around us how to do it, wanting to just be certain that we're doing it the right way rather than actually doing the thing we know needs to be done. And if you feel like you're constantly in learning mode or watching YouTube tutorial after YouTube tutorial, you're likely stuck in perfectionism. This can also stem from a fear of failure. We build up this task in our minds so much, convinced it has to be perfect, that we psych ourselves out and then we think we're not even capable of doing this, that we have so much more to learn or grow before we could complete this task at the level we expect. And one study showed that 50% of people that procrastinate do so because of a certain characteristic they associate with that task. One of those being task aversiveness. So this means that we perceive that task as boring, unpleasant, or maybe we just think it's going to take a lot more time or be more difficult than it actually is. So we avoid it. I used to find myself putting something off because I thought I'd need an entire day to do it, only to find out I could actually get it done in about an hour of focused work. So once you understand the root of your procrastination, it becomes much easier to find ways to move through it. And in the case of perfectionism, the key is to remember that done is better than perfect. Before I figured this out, I wasted 3 years of time spinning my wheels with no traction or growth in my business, even though I felt like I was putting in all these long hours. And now after looking back on it though, I can see that I was trying to figure out how to do everything myself instead of just taking action and tweaking as I go. The thing that ultimately changed my business completely and led us to a 428% increase in revenue in a pandemic year was imperfect action. Doing what needed to be done as fast as possible without worrying about if it turned out perfect or not. Just getting it done. Speed and action are what grows businesses. And in order to do that, we have to be willing to accept that our first attempt might not be perfect. But by taking the action, we'll learn what to fix and what to tweak to get it to that point. The copywriting or layout on your first funnel is going to be far from perfect, but you'll never know what to change or tweak unless you start. We see this theme of imperfect action show up in all the major success stories in history. Thomas Edison had a vision of a lamp that could be operated by electricity. He just started where he was with what he had and learned as he went. He didn't stop and say, I need to go back to school, or I need to get my engineering degree, or I need to watch every YouTube video I can find on how to solder wires. He just got to work taking in the feedback of every failed version and making changes along the way until he finally made his vision a reality. So what things are you holding on to that are preventing you from starting today? What are the things you're saying, I need to have this first, then I can do this? Eliminate all of those things and get moving. Start with what you have now and where you are now. Okay, so how do we actually structure our schedules, our days, and our tasks to eliminate procrastination? First, use time blocks to schedule exactly what you're doing. If you just say, okay, I'm working from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., but you don't know exactly what the time block is to be used for, you'll waste time deciding on what to do first. So schedule your time blocks clearly and know exactly what you're doing during that time. I schedule my most important thing, or what I think is going to be my toughest task of the day, the one that will take the most creativity and thinking and willpower first. During that time, get rid of all distractions. Turn off notifications, shut your door, and put your phone in another room. There's a concept called Parkinson's Law that says work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. So setting clear constraints allows for ultimate freedom. Have you ever noticed on a day that you're leaving early for vacation, you somehow manage to get everything done that morning before you leave? Normally, these tasks would have taken you 2 days, but because you're determined to not bring any work with you on your trip, trip, you manage to knock it all out in a couple of hours. This is the power of Parkinson's law. And when you set tight deadlines on yourself, you'll be amazed at what you can actually get done in that time frame, especially when you can let go of any expectations of how that thing needs to turn out and just commit to getting it done. So once I schedule something into a time block, I make sure I have a dead stop time. And by that time, whatever the task is, it needs to be done. If you need to find someone to hold you accountable here, do it. But I'm super strict with myself to say that, okay, by 11 a.m., this funnel is going live and we're turning ads on. So it has to be done. This also forces me to detach from the outcome. I just know I have to get it done no matter what. And when you put your brain into these tight constraints, it can actually work at its highest level and solve problems and figure things out on its own. If I think about the outcome though, I get stuck in perfectionism and build up the task as harder than it really is. I start to put all these expectations on myself. So for example, if I know I have to write the copy for a new sales funnel and I get stuck in the outcome, I think that it needs to be extremely witty and influential and sell 10 people in the next 2 weeks, then I'll just spend weeks rewriting and tweaking instead of just getting it in front of my market and letting them tell me if it's working or not. So I set a timer for the time allotted, block out distractions, and get to work. And when the timer stops, I know I have to have this thing done. And sometimes it's not always completed by the timer, it's not always perfect, but I'm much further ahead than I would be if I didn't hold myself to that schedule. I'd still be staring at a blank screen. But by having a specific time block listed out for what I'm doing and setting a strict deadline, I can overcome the feelings of not wanting to do something. I just tell myself to write 10 words or just to start working for 10 minutes. And once I do this, I usually have to really force myself to focus and push through those first 10 minutes. But after that, I find that I'm getting into the flow of things and I actually want to keep going. But if you just wait for motivation or you wait to feel inspired or to feel like doing the work, you'll never start and you'll never get anything done. You can also set a specific day as a deadline for larger projects. So for example, my online course needs to be completed, filmed, edited, and uploaded 2 weeks from now. Then you can just reverse engineer and start building out your time blocks. But the key is to set a deadline that makes you a little bit nervous versus setting it for 6 months from now. If you set your deadlines too far out in advance or you set your time block alarms for hours from now, you'll just expand the time it takes you to do that work to the time that you allot for it. So to recap, understand why you're procrastinating. Is it fear of failure, perfectionism, or because you just think the task is boring? From there, set a tight deadline for when that task needs to be done. Time block it as first thing in your day and set a timer. Attach to the action, not the outcome, and just start, even if it's for 10 minutes. And most importantly, eliminate all distractions during that time and protect your schedule. So if you say that you're gonna work on this thing at this time, do not deviate and say no to any requests for meetings or any, hey, do you have a minute? Just like you would if you were actually in a meeting with someone else. As always, if you got value from this video, be sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe for more actionable strategies and hacks that you can use to grow your business. And if you guys have any other strategies you use to help overcome the pull of procrastination or any other time management strategies, love to hear it. Comment down below or tell me what you found useful. See you next time.